I just wanted to do a quick little half fit check because I look good and I feel good. I'm probably going to change my shirt, but I am so confident right now and ready for Pride with my girlfriend. So I'm going to go pick her up. Good morning, y'all. So I have a story time for y'all because I went to San Antonio Pride yesterday. However, this is also kind of a question. I guess I just want maybe opinions on, I don't know. I really don't know what I'm looking for. I guess I'm looking to rant. So it's just gonna be egg and cheese on a bagel. So I'm not a big content creator. So I'm just gonna kind of like say names and everything to make it less confusing since I'm multitasking. One of my first friends here, her name is Z. I met Z through like Bumble BFF, right? She was coming off of a really bad breakup and I had just moved here and I was looking for friends and blah, blah, blah. Z introduces me to Eli, and Eli was friends with Z, I think essentially through a similar situation. They were like friends with somebody, like a friend of a friend, and then they became like best friends, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Like I found my people. Like I'm all for this. I'm super happy. So one day I'm out and I'm on Tammy, right? And I'm on Tammy for friends and for like, if it happens, it happens, which is actually how I met my girlfriend, which is kind of funny. I'm on Tammy and this girl swipes on me and she is gorgeous. And I start to get to know her. Her name is Cass. And obviously this is not like my girlfriend, so like I'm treading lightly on how much I talk about Cass, but like I'm trying to also explain. Portion happened like last year, like meeting Cass and everything. I match with Cass and we get to talking and it goes really, really well. And we start like going on dates and I start getting to know her. Meanwhile, I matched with Larissa on Tammy, but Larissa was just looking for friends, and I was in the mindset at the time of like, I'm looking for friends. However, if something develops naturally, like I'm not going to stop it from happening. Cass and I are forming a connection. I end up realizing like it's a like we're not friends, you know, connection. Like it's a real, like, I want to kiss you connection. I don't know how else to word it. It's a gay connection. So I'm like, awesome. Okay, I am starting to like develop feelings for her. We've gone out on a date or two. So I'm really excited because I'm, you know, I like Cass. And so at this time, I'm like telling Z everything, gushing about her, you know, all that jazz. Literally the night I met Cass, I was with Z, Eli, and my best friend Nick, who was visiting from Florida. Okay, cool, like I'm really happy, like my friends got to meet the girl that I'm talking to. I am so bad at flipping eggs. Who let me cook? I flipped this entire egg and look at it. It folded into a burrito. I'm trying to save it as much as possible. Like my life, this egg is a mess. Where was I? So they meet them and everything and things are going well. However, I'm starting to develop a connection with Larissa and I start realizing, oh shit, I like Larissa. And this kind of came to me because I was Larissa's friend and we had developed like such a natural connection that I almost didn't know what to think. It was so natural, it was so easygoing, and I honestly can say like I ended up breaking off things with Cass once I kind of really set my feelings and stopped denying them, like for Larissa, realizing that like even on a friendship level, Larissa was giving me more emotionally than Cass was able to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, I still, to this day, I am cool with Cass, and, like, I think she's a great person. But it didn't work out that way. I'm gonna have so many parts that I edit out because I, like, can't think. So I ended things with Cass. Everything was fine. But remember when I said, like, Z and Eli met Cass? So they started to they both kind of, more so Z than Eli from my understanding, but they started to develop their own friendship with Cass, which I had no issues or qualms about. But it had come to my attention when I was replying to Cass's story about something. It had come to my attention that Z had commented on the same story, I think, that I had commented on about Cass, but I think might have been a different one or after the fact, but it had come to my attention that Z had said something, in my opinion, that was, like, out of line with someone who's supposed to be friends with me and with her. Like, it came off almost a little sexual from my understanding, and I immediately, like, was upset with Z and had talked about that situation. And I was like, it made me uncomfortable because I was like, even though, like, Cass and I didn't work out, like, you're supposed to be my friend, so I'm confused on where your loyalties lie. Because to me, I get the lesbian world is so small and it's hard to find people. And I genuinely, like, I get it because lesbian culture is everybody's hooking up with everybody. But it's not my style. It never has been. I was willing to hear Z out because Z had never done me wrong. Like, I thought maybe, like, things aren't what they seem. So I thanked Z for talking it out with me, and, you know, I kind of went and forgot about that situation because I was like, okay, like, if I want to be someone's friend, like, I can't just drop them at the drop of a hat. Like, I need to hear their side out and understand that, like, shit happens. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Who knows? I let it go until yesterday at Pride. Before Pride went down, it was a couple hours before. Mind you, Z and I, like, had a little bit of a disconnect, and it was nothing personal. It was just, like, I was going through a lot, she was going through a lot, and I was like, hey, like, you know, we had plans for this concert. I don't know if you still want to go. Like, I would totally be down to go with you still. Like, I don't mind, like, you know, if you want to drive to me, I can drive us to the concert, blah, 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 blah. We end up talking and not meshing shit out because, like, there was no, like, bad blood. You know, like I said, I had squashed that whole situation prior, but, like, we hadn't really talked too much, and we were not really, I mean, like, I still considered her, like, a best friend, but we weren't, like, hanging out every day. Like, I am the type of person, like, I could be your best friend, and I might not see you or talk to you for, like, a month, but, like, I'm still there. If you call me at 3 a.m., I'm probably sleeping, but, like, if you call me and I'm not working, like, I'm gonna pick up and be like, hey, what's up? But anyway, that's besides the point. We end up going to a concert together, and I'm, like, you know, hashing shit out, and Z says to me, she goes, well, like, Eli's really, like, upset. They think that, like, your friendship is gone. And I'm like, I explained to Z, and I was like, I'll explain it to Eli too. I was like, but I've just been going through, like, a lot of shit. Like, after, I kind of had stopped talking to them around the time that I was going through, like, a really bad depression, from life situations. And I, like, pretty much, like, ghosted everyone. Like, I told people that the life situation was going on, and, you know, people were obviously there for me and cared about me, but I, like, pretty much, like, just went in silence and, like, didn't want to, like, talk to anyone or anything. And my girlfriend was the trooper that she is, was, like, cheering me up and, like, you know, kind of like trying to get me to like appreciate life and, you know, not want to off myself essentially, because my life was what felt like just a horrible time. That's kind of when things kind of died down with me talking to them. Even before that though, I think when like Larissa and I started dating, I didn't intentionally stop spending time with them, but it just felt like I was always like a third wheel to their friendship. And I felt like because they knew each other and like I was introduced to Eli from Z, it was like Z was trying to like mesh us all to, not purposely, but like she had created this space for us to all be friends. And I thought that was great, but I also had realized like there were just some, I guess, beige flags, if you will, that made me realize like my friendship wasn't as strong as I thought it was. I kind of just like went and spent all my time with Larissa because I guess I felt like I didn't know if I was wanted there. I had come up with that like in my head on my own, and obviously that's something I struggle with, but I was trying to repair the friendship after the concert because I was like, you know what, like I don't know like what's wrong with my mind or why I think people are against me when they're not. Like I'm gonna repair my friendships with them. Even though my situation looks a lot different than it did last year, like I will make an effort to be their friends and go see them, because that was where I was lacking, is like I had no problems like talking with them and stuff, but because of my car, which is a whole story, I didn't feel comfortable driving far, and I also didn't feel comfortable once I sold my car or had ideas of selling my car to like go too far, because like if I'm using my girlfriend's car it just feels weird, which I'm insured for her car and everything, so like I feel more comfortable driving it and going around and stuff, but at the same time it is still her car that I'm using when I need to use it. Anyway, let's get to the point. So Pride. Z texts me a couple hours before Pride. Let me pull up the receipts. So Z goes, "Girly, I'm worried about the parking situation at Pride because we don't plan on being there till later. I was gonna ask if we could park at your place and then get an Uber, but I wonder if it would cost the same just to pay for parking. I think we spent like $30 for parking last year." Mind you, our plan was to meet up at Pride. Me, Z, Eli, right? I didn't know anyone else was coming. I was not told anyone else was coming. So I was obviously left in the dark about everything. So I'm just going based off of the information that I have in front of me that I'm aware of. She was asking, and I had no issues with her asking because I had always said, like, if you ever need to park downtown, like, let me know, because like I have a parking pass and I'm not always there. But because I sold my car and my girlfriend's car is not on the lease because she's not on my lease, I was gonna use that parking pass, go to my place, clean up a bunch of stuff, and then Uber to Pride from there, because I figured that Uber was close enough that it wouldn't be too expensive, which to get there, I think it was only, we got an XL because apparently it was cheaper. It was like $7. But when I had scheduled it said $20 to schedule the ride. So I just want to pull that up because that's going to come in the receipts. When Z had texted me that, I was thinking, well, I have to explain the situation now because she's asking to like come park at my place, which I only get one parking pass. So that's why I had to kind of like explain. I said, I know I was gonna park at my place in Uber, to be honest. Larissa would probably kill me for saying that, but there's no way there will be parking down that way at that time. I don't even remember how much I spent last year. All I remember is parking at the San Antonio College garage and walking. I was trying to give her like information because at the time I was like giving her information because I'm like trying to think of, you know, how to help her, I guess, because she could park at my place, but I ended up looking at the price, and the price parking at my place would be the same as parking there. The only thing is convenience with not having to park downtown and deal with all the craziness. Like, there's spots at my place, you just have to pay for them. So she goes, yeah, we parked at like some random parking lot that attendants would be standing at with signs. Do you think it would cost the same to pay for parking versus an Uber if we parked at your place? Mind you, I had already said above that I was going to park at my place. So I don't know if it clicked in her head or not. So that's why I was kind of like, I only get one parking pass. And she knows this from prior experience, that I only get one parking space for free, I should say. So when she was like trying to figure out the cost and everything, I was kind of like, I mean, I don't, like in my head, I'm like, I don't know. So I was like, well, I don't know. I was going to use my pass on Larissa's car since hers isn't registered at my place. Looks like an Uber is going to be the same cost. I looked up the prices for later, and it's $22 to reserve one way. Keep in mind, I said to reserve because that's what the price was telling me when I looked it up. Over an hour later, she replies, ugh, okay. Mind you, all of the texts before were pretty much back and forth, like no time in between. So I had, in that moment, texted my girlfriend, and I was like, I'm feeling very, like, used right now because I understand that we had a plan to meet up, but it's just like you're coming to me about parking, and when I say, hey, like, I planned on using that parking pass, you know, you kind of like are just like, ugh, okay, whatever. So it just kind of threw me off because I was like, what? I understand parking is tough. So that's when I had replied, I mean, we can always meet at my place whenever y'all plan on going and Uber with me if you're worried about parking. I'm going to be at my place somewhere between 4 and 5 packing up the rest of my stuff. I don't mind paying for a spot for y'all. So that's basically where I was at. Because again, I had no idea who was coming. And I was like, you know what? Like, I understand parking is a bitch there. Like, I was struggling to find parking midday last year. And I was planning on going just for the parade this year. So I was trying to kind of figure shit out and try to help her out. Z goes, nah, it's all good. We've got Eli's girlfriend and a couple other friends tagging along, so we'll probably just pay for parking there. It's going to be the same price either way. And that's when I was like, I'm feeling very used right now because you want to meet up at Pride, but you don't want to meet up at my place. And I'm not only offering to fork up the price of parking, but I would have also forked up the price for an Uber because I had the money at the moment, still technically do, and she knows that, which is why I was like, it would be an I've got you situation. That's kind of how our friendship has always been. So when she had replied that, I was like, oh, and a couple other friends, like, I guess, like, the plan is different from what I had in my mind, which is fine. She doesn't really have to communicate that with me. I was just trying to help out. I didn't realize that other people were tagging along. Until Cass and I'm going to bring this up, are friends. Not everyday talking friends, but social media will reply to each other's stories here, there, whatever. Like, I'm cool with her. I see on Cass's Snapchat that she's in the car with Z. And that pissed me off because when Z had the opportunity to say something, she said Eli's girlfriend and a couple other friends. She knows I know damn well who Cass is. So the fact that it wasn't brought up pissed me off because if we were supposed to meet at Pride, you were gonna what? Have me awkwardly introduce my girlfriend to Cass with no warning? Like, it felt like a setup. And So I was over it. As soon as I saw that, I blocked Z and Eli on everything. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I feel used. I feel hurt. I feel played. I feel like if someone is supposed to be my best friend and they're not telling me that they're hanging out with a girl I used to gush to them about, it just feels so shady. It feels icky to me. And again, I know the lesbian world, like, everybody is like sister wives. I'm not trying to do that here. Like, let me back it up just because I want to give a full understanding. So I was told that there's nothing going on between them, and I'm okay with that. The part that I'm not okay with is the fact that when Z had the option to tell me, she chose not to. She omitted information purposefully. And the thing was, Eli ended up finding me at Pride and was like, why did you block us? Mind you, I'm a double shot in. So I'm like, I don't want to have the conversation. And the part that pissed me off is that Z never came up to me at all. Eli did. And I respect Eli that much more for that. However, Z did something shady and didn't admit to it and does not own up to it. And I guess my situation, if Z has done something shady in the past and does it again, not only did she do it again, but she did it with the same person. It gave me enough to be like, that's the nail in the coffin for me, because I am not going to be friends with somebody who is so comfortable with disrespecting my boundaries. I had no problem if Z would have said, hey, Cass is coming. Just want to give you a forewarning. I know you're coming with Larissa. But I was told that Z didn't tell me because they thought that it would upset me. And my question is, if I was supposed to meet up with them at Pride, you're just gonna blindside me then? Like, what was the plan? Please tell me what was the plan, because now I'm confused. And not only that, but it was posted on social media as if I'm not on social media 24/7. Like, I understand y'all probably weren't trying to hide it, but you were, because you just used an excuse that you weren't going to tell me, which shows that you're intentionally hiding something. So, with that story being said, I know that Eli did nothing wrong with the way that Eli was trying to talk to me yesterday. However, because they are best friends, Z and Eli, I assumed, and that's my bad for assuming that, like, Eli knew anything, but I can't trust it, because at the end of the day, like, I feel like the odd man out. I have always felt like the odd man out, and that's why I'm backing away from the friendship. That's why it took one small thing to put a nail in the coffin, because I was like, this just kind of proves to me, like, the true colors are being shown, and, like, I'm not meant to be a part of this friendship. It was just like a no-brainer to me, because I was like, how am I gonna have somebody disrespect me as a person, try and lie to my face, and not even talk to me in person when you know I'm upset and I've blocked you? Like, it was just giving ick. It was giving shady. It was giving messy lesbian, and I was just not having it. So, I guess what I want to ask the internet, if anyone even freaking watches this, because I probably get like 20 views on my YouTube videos anyway, would you have done the same thing or reacted similarly? Because at that point, I didn't want to have a conversation, because I was so upset and, like, overcome with anger, irritation, sadness, hurt, that I was like, I can't deal with this. I don't want to deal with this, because if there's a bridge, it's burned. Like, you had every opportunity to talk to me and you didn't. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how would y'all have reacted to a situation like that, where a certain person who's supposed to be your good friend, if not one of your best friends, how would you react if they had done something shady not only once but twice? I don't care what you do as long as it's not behind my back. How would y'all have reacted? Because I thought that what I did was a way to protect my peace by just blocking it and letting it go. However, after being confronted at Pride, saying me blocking is not the way to go, I'm just curious. Okay guys, so we got all the dogs here while I'm recording here. Sadie and Remy. I wanted to record something because I just want to kind of close out the Pride story. So ultimately I decided to keep the Pride story going because I already put in so much effort into editing that portion, but I kind of want to add to it. Essentially, I have chosen not to be friends with either of them. I did reach out to Eli that same night at Pride saying like I'm willing to have a conversation, just not when I'm like drunk. Eli never replied, so I ended up blocking Eli probably a couple days later, probably like 3 or 4 days later. But I guess this is an opportunity for me to say like, obviously I didn't handle the situation the best way. I feel like me blocking them was a form of me protecting my peace and a way for me to advocate for myself because I didn't want to feel walked all over in a situation. I've kind of talked to a couple of friends and a lot of my friends were like, no, that definitely sounds like intentional. But I do see the side of it where people might think like maybe you're just misreading the situation. I feel like I've tried to look at it from their side and I just don't see another side to it other than being disrespected. And I kind of want to make a point that I don't want to be disrespected in my friendships or relationships. I listened to Soph Motska's podcast on being your own advocate because I kind of just wanted a little bit more insight into this situation, and I also wanted to do a similar podcast episode eventually because this situation just kind of calls for it in a sense. And like I said, even though me blocking them was not like the way to go about it, I almost feel like I prevented an awkward situation, but because Eli confronted me, it was still like an awkward situation at the end of the day. But essentially, I did not allow for that friendship to continue. I'm not friends with them, and I'm going to continue to advocate for myself in future friendships because I am trying to find like friends in Texas, and it's very difficult because I feel like a lot of people in Texas just don't value friendship the same. And I feel like back home where I had friends in Connecticut that I still to this day obviously love and care about, but I feel like those friendships were more sacred. I feel like I'm being tested on how much I hold on to people or hold on to things. I feel like what's best for me is to let go of the situation, let go of the people, and even though like I have a lot to learn from this situation, I know that going forward when I meet people, I'm going to set boundaries and set clear expectations for friendship. Basically just setting boundaries that are acceptable and reasonable, and I feel like as long as I'm doing that, if you're disrespecting those boundaries, those reasonable boundaries, then it shows that you don't respect me as a person, which is kind of the whole point of that video, is I didn't feel respected and I didn't feel like I was valued as a friend or as a person. So moving forward, I am still looking for friends and I'm doing pretty well, considering that it is exhausting because you're constantly telling your life story all over again, your favorite color, like you are divulging all of yourself and you are giving so much of yourself. So I'm gonna be cautious moving forward about who I trust and how much I trust them and how quickly I trust them. But overall, like, I do hope to find my people. And if I don't find my people in Texas, like, that's completely okay. At least I can say I gave it a good effort. If I am also being honest, I know that me and my girlfriend don't want to stay in Texas forever. It's just for the foreseeable future. So that's why I want to have friends, but it's not a necessity at this point. It's not like death if I don't. I'm gonna be doing a podcast episode on being your own advocate and advocating for yourself, which by the time this vlog is released, it'll already have been out for a couple days. But I'm really excited to record the podcast episode because I feel like I have a lot to say now and a lot to think about. So if you're on my YouTube, go check it out, or Spotify or Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm sorry that I asked for y'all's opinion and then came up and said I did what I'm gonna do anyway. This is what I mean about being my own advocate. Like, I feel like after sitting on it and reflecting on it, I realized that the best way to advocate for myself is to terminate a friendship that did not serve me and did not respect me, and move forward and try to find healed, healthy, genuine friendships from here on out. So thank you for your time, and I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Bye.